You make this 9 feel like a 10. Good evening, everyone. Hunter Biden says he's really impressed by New York's Mayor Mamdani. Well, I guess that makes it official. Hunter's on drugs again. Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth celebrated Pride Month by wearing a shirt that read, "You can pee next to me." Even stranger, Don Lemon celebrated Pride Month by wearing a shirt that read, "You can pee on me." That's AI generated, I hope. Officials in Australia have seized 100,000 cockroaches from a breeder that are prized as food for reptiles. So now what am I supposed to eat? Asked one man. You never know. Didn't see that one getting laughs. The ASPCA launched a new campaign encouraging pet owners to spay and neuter their animals. So now California elections and your dog have something in common. They're both fixed. Many prominent Democrats are avoiding answering questions when asked about Graham Plattner. AOC said, I have to read up on him. Liz Warren said, I haven't read enough. And Joe Biden said, I'm dead. It's a good excuse. $500,000 worth of bourbon was stolen from a Philadelphia warehouse. In a related story, guess who was just spotted buying 3 tons of party ice? A surprising medical study found that, quote, being a bitch actually boosts a woman's immune system. In unrelated news, happy 300th birthday to Hillary Clinton. Rosie O'Donnell attended the Tony Awards on Sunday night, leaving many people wondering who invited Steve Bannon.
It's funny.
And finally, a buffalo that resembles Donald Trump has been drawing major crowds at a Bangladesh zoo. In a related story, a cow that resembles Joy Behar is a cow. I screwed up that joke, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I really screwed up that joke, but it doesn't matter. Okay. So the LA mayor race is now down to 2, with Nithya Raman advancing over Spencer Pratt to face Bass in November, thanks to a delayed vote count that surged like the estrogen in Tim Walz's veins. So with Pratt out, LA voters have a big decision. Do they want to live in a hole or a hellhole? But as rotten as the outcome is, don't you dare call it fraud. It's legal since the system is built for those who control it. A mail-in voting apparatus with a time frame of a month to tally votes. Pretty convenient in case you need a second-place finisher that's a Democrat, so 2 Dems face off in the final. It's like when Jesse tips a waitress using change, they'll keep counting as long as it takes. So don't you feel like an idiot for thinking Pratt had a chance when he never did? No one does except those in control. The system tells you so. Fact is, Pratt would not have enough Republican votes to win, so he'd need a lot of crossover votes. Maybe enough people were on the fence, especially if that fence kept pantless junkies away from their kids. But if you eliminate Pratt, you eliminate Pratt debating Bass. It's not corrupt, it's just the way the system is run by the people who created the system. The truth is, Spencer had about as much of a chance of beating Bass as does anyone who runs against Putin or Kim Jong-un. Remember Pratt saying it doesn't have to be this way? It's the election process that says it has to be this way. And it's the same response when you ask about anything awful the Dems have done in California. It's just the way it's done. And how dare you say it's fraud? As if this is the only system that remains untouched by it. Even though in the last 4 years, we've seen a fraudulent White House covering up a sick leader, payouts to various scammers from California to Ohio to Minnesota, we've seen loads of institutions, the media, Hollywood, education, even the military, hit with corruption. But elections run by Democrats, of course they're squeaky clean. And that's according to the people who also told us we didn't need to enforce our border. We didn't need to lock up violent felons. Eric Swalwell is a cool guy. The Hunter laptop story is fake, and women can have dicks. And so, we live in a bifurcated world. There is reality and there's politics. We live in reality, they live in politics. It's ironic that Pratt was from reality TV while they're stuck in the West Wing meets RuPaul's Drag Race. But we understand biology, law and order, incentives. They choose not to. But in politics, which is their reality, they get to make the rules. And in it, everything turns out their way, even if it sucks for everyone else. For them, a Hollywood ending means the Titanic still sinks. Except now Rose bravely gives her spot to a non-binary migrant. So you thought Pratt had a chance. Well, the Dems laugh. The way we laugh when they say a dude can have a baby. You see the parallel? Trans is their mirage, and ours was the Pratt vote. And we bought it the same way a Democrat buys a guy in a dress. That's why they live for politics. If they deny reality, politics controls whatever they replace it with, making an honest man's bid to fix a very broken city a fantasy, and the next nightmare a reality. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She was on the college equestrian team, which explains why she's so stable. Republican strategist and host of the Party Lights podcast, Erin McGuire. On Father's Day, his kids will give him a paternity test. Actor, writer, comedian Jamie Lissow. She's the only person who gains weight on Ozempic. New York Times bestselling author, Fox News contributor, Kat Tipp. And in the high school band, he played the Bermuda Triangle. Former NWA World Champion and host of the Planet Tower podcast, Cyrus. Erin, it's so interesting. What do you think went on?
I think that the California election system worked the way that California built it. Democrats have built this system to be the jungle primary, to be into a runoff. So you either get 50% or it keeps going. And in this case, it is built to try and block out a party if possible. But look at now what California gets to choose from. A communist or a socialist. That's the option now. That's what they get to vote for. So if you like people crapping on the streets, if you like seeing people with needles in their arms, if you like men in women's bathrooms, man, LA, you have quite the election ahead of you. You've got a plethora of options of failure.
The way you describe it, though, is that it will never change because the system is built for the party in control to make sure the two candidates are from their party. So it will never be Republican in that city.
Winners make policy, losers go home. We have to win and play by the rules in the states of the elections we're in. And so if that boxes us out in a jungle primary, it means we need a better ground game in that state. It was going to be hard for Spencer Pratt anyways, and to do that, you need 7 or 8 touch points on a persuadable voter in an election to get them to take an action. And in this race, he didn't have a ton of money. It would have taken a lot of money in the ground game, even in the best political lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, you're depressing me.
I'm sorry.
By the way,
that's like a political consultant. It's never that much fun.
By the way, jungle primary, one of the top schools in the Amazon.
Oh.
You guys don't have to laugh at that.
Stop it.
It was a good joke. Jamie, it was a good joke. Are you depressed by this? You're normally depressed, so how can you tell?
Yeah, I'm depressed, but now for a different reason. But look at this. I mean, look at this. I saw better options at the free breakfast at my Motel 6 this morning than this. They have to figure out the voter ID thing at the very least so that we can get the results the night of the election. It's America. We need results. We need stuff. Can you imagine if this morning you woke up and they were like, hey, we just want to let you know the Knicks won. There were 10 mail-in points.
That almost feels like soccer.
It does.
You know, it's like soccer, the game ends and then it keeps going and then we have to go for another. Or is it cricket that goes on for like 4 days?
Well, soccer's the one where you go, oh my God, there's 6 minutes left because some guy got kicked in the balls earlier.
Yeah.
They make up that time. But we need use IDs for everything. Like for goodness. I was just told that I was told you need an ID to watch pornography on your phone in Idaho. I was told by my phone.
Yes. You know, Kat, it is kind of an interesting tell that like 80% of the population is for voter ID. So there's broad agreement among both parties, and yet the Dems fight that tooth and nail. They fight it, and they have almost no coherent argument for it.
It is true, right? But you would think the way that they talk about it, that this actually is a contentious issue, or that this is something that conservatives want and conservatives are pushing for. It's not. There is widespread agreement on few things in our society anymore. There are few things where you can bring it up in a room full of people you know nothing about and be pretty sure that they're going to agree on it. And one of those things is voter ID, and they act like it's not the reality.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, it's really not that surprising that this would work out like this. I think it's a similar situation here in New York City where we just kind of are like, this is how it's going to be.
Yes.
And I have given up hope in it a long time ago myself, unfortunately, because once people gain a certain amount of power, then it's up to them, which is why I've always been so committed to limiting the government's power, because that's power that we get to keep as the people.
Yeah, and you know what is happening, I think, is that places like California and even New York don't mind their tax base shrinking because it won't affect their life. The politicians, their power is still concentrated up top. They don't even care how bad the city ends up looking as people leave, as long as they control it.
Right, and I was in Texas this weekend, and there were a couple homeless people, but every single one of them, I'm not kidding, every single one of them had clothes on.
Yeah.
Not the case here and not in California.
No, it's true. It's true. Thank God for that. I love a good naked homeless person, Tyrus. I mean, if I'm going to be disgusted by the smell, entertain my eyes.
If they're not shitting... What?
That should have been your monologue.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder where those thoughts come from.
I do not at all.
What's your take on this, Tyrus?
I was just in California, and I was walking on Beverly Hills, and I noticed that I said hello to, I think, maybe 15 armed guards within 3 blocks. And every store that could afford it had riot guards in front to stop cars from rolling in. That's the high end.
Right.
And
what about the low?
Yeah, the low is, and here's the thing, the low comes in at dusk.
Yeah.
So the stores should close early. All the security guards are armed. So the ones who can afford it, they have the protections, but when you talk to them, they still are doing that thing where they're virtue signaling. You know, it's important that we vote a woman in, and, you know, a white man being the mayor in California is a problem. And the other side of it is it's Republicans' fault, although you are... It's a tough fight, but you know what? I grew up when we had Mayor Tom Bradley, and we had Arnold Schwarzenegger there. So, but that's when people had enough. And I said it in the beginning where I didn't think Pratt was going to change enough minds because people in California still live in this arrogance where it's not me. And you hear it a lot from independents, Republicans, I've given up. So they don't vote. If every Republican in LA County would have voted, he would have made the runoff. He might not have won the thing, and also you have to look at the Republican Party. It shouldn't be a Spencer Pratt, no disrespect. And you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't in New York, it should have been a guy with a beret and a cat problem.
You're absolutely right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, until you have people of leadership and substance who are willing to step up, you should be inspired that a guy with no experience who just talked to you about some of your problems got enough to make them upset, made one of them cry and quit. You know, so we can be mad about the way the voting system is, but again, it's until the people do something. I will now refer to California as communist California. I will not bring my family back to California. I drove through it, I saw it, and I was like, I grew up there. I loved it. I wanted to be there my whole life. And it is a socialist, communist state now, and we need to understand that.
All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.